I'm thinking about going from sales to management. What do I need to know and why? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Sacramento, California on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about from sales to management. So one of the things that you don't realize, a sales manager takes the brunt of a lot of things that happen inside of an organization, and the fires are constant, okay? So remember that nobody likes the salespeople, nobody likes the sales manager, and you got to deal with upset clients, you got to deal with salespeople who don't want to do their jobs. So like everything possible gets thrown at you. You could show up in the morning and people have called in sick. You can show up in the morning and paperwork's not done right. You could go throughout the day and people want to go home, and you could go throughout the day and people want to complain. And you go throughout the day and the buyer wants to complain. And you want to go throughout the day and then other people in the office don't like the salespeople, want to complain about the salesperson. And the other managers don't like the way that you dealt with it. So it just seems like I got to let you know, if you're going from sales to management, you got one thing to worry about in sales. Do your job, do your paperwork. Those are usually like two things, okay? But when you go from sales to management, you got a million things you got to worry about and all the people you got to deal with. And then remember, nobody likes salespeople and you're getting paid less money to do it. So there are times where it's warranted, where you may go, hey, look, I really want to go from being in sales to being in management, but there are some things that you really got to think about. So your phone could ring all day, there could be a million emails, there could be things transferred to you constantly, and I will tell you that salespeople are always looking for someone else to do their job. And so this is what they do. They have a problem with a client or the buyer, and instead of them dealing with it, what they typically do is they're like, oh, I'll have my manager call you. Because then they don't have to deal with the problem, they just push it off onto you. And so now you got one more fire to deal with. And then in the office, the people go, oh, well, the salesperson did it. We're just gonna have the sales manager call you back, and then he can deal with it, or she could deal with it. So just know that in the job of sales management role, the fires are constant. You're constantly on the phone, you're constantly on the email, you're constantly in meetings, and it doesn't hardly ever, like the times where it seems like things are going well versus not going well could be an issue. And I'm not saying this is true for every sales manager. I'm saying in the beginning, this is the way it is until you set the rules, till you set the boundaries, till you get used to stuff, till you tell people what they need to do. And it's cyclical. When it's super busy, everything's your fault. When it's super slow, everything's your fault, right? So it's like you sometimes, and I'm not saying every time, but sometimes you end up in a no-win situation that you're a firefighter. You're dealing with people's problems, you're dealing with the office's problems, you're dealing with clients' problems, you're dealing with issues. It just seems like you show up to work dressed like a firefighter and you're just putting out fires all day long. It could be something you run into depending upon your management style, depending upon how new you are to the world of sales, how new you are to management. There's all things that you got to get used to. But in a lot of instances, you are the ultimate firefighter as a sales manager. You got one thing to do from here, just one thing. Find the subscribe button and click on it. Every time I send out a video, you'll get an update that says Scott Bell Consultant sent out another fantastic video. You should check it out, which you should. We'll see you soon. Aloha.